Hey gamers, today we're going to look at Campaign Trail. Let's check it out. I should start off by saying that my edition is a Kickstarter edition and will look different from the retail edition. Anyway, to start off, what you're going to be doing is putting your meeples out here in the sections where it's located on each state who will take control of that state at the start. You'll place 2 of your little voters on that state. In a 4-player game like I have here, you look at the top star of each one. In other games, if you're doing 3 players and maybe the top star, maybe green player's not in here, you'd look over to the left. All right, and then over there to the right, if you're playing 2 players and looking for a starting spot. But anyway, as you're putting those out there, you'll also align the states in your little election track up there. You'll set the party turn order right here. You're going to take a huge deck of cards, divide it up into 3 stacks for August, September, and October. There's your discard area there. You're going to select out of all these cities randomly 2 of them to put into the debates, and take a stack of these type cards, shuffle them, and place 1 out here and 1 out there. That will give you different topics that you're going to do for debate. And money is kept right here. Each player will also receive 2 of these candidate cards. They are double-sided, just giving you different genders of each one that you will get to pick from. Some of these, well, all of these have advantages in the game, and they also have disadvantages in the game that you will be having to play with. Once you pick one, you're going to look at the starting cash and the starting registered voters that you will start on your player board. So for example, right here, I have picked the newcomer. I start with $30 million and 3 registered voters. I put my 3 voters here and my $30 million there on the war chest. Voters also come in sets of 3 and 5, so they won't clog up the board having 5 of these on one state. Also, I will take that debate track there and look at what we're debating and put those issues in the middle of the debate area there. They are also not only emblem but by design too. So I got to put the squares and the little star shapes in there, which makes it a whole lot simpler to locate since they're all one color gray. How you play this game: you deal out 5 campaign trail cards to each player, and what they're going to do first is they're going to determine out of the highlighted states of all of these where they want their home base to be, where they're from. And to do so, they must present the card and say, to show that that state is highlighted. So for instance, I want to be from Mississippi. Where else, right? So I put the present capital right there and my little player pawn there. That will be my starting place. Again, it can be any of the states that are highlighted on the card. You just must show it to the other players. After that, it's time to play the game. What you're going to do is pick one of these cards and play it. There are 6 possible actions in the game, but only 4 are on each one of these cards. The actions are written up here, and they are very simple. First off would be travel. Travel lets you move either by plane or by a certain amount. So here's a good example here. I can move my character 5 spaces, so maybe I go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and he's in California now. He can start campaigning here. Or instead, I could have used the plane action. The plane action says, hey, any state that has a plane, I can, for one whole move, go from here all the way to here, as long as it has a plane there, and that could be my travel action. Looking at the next one is fundraising. This is easy. You just look at the amount here, play that card, and that's how much cash you will build up for your war chest. Next up is registered voters. Any registered voters are voters that are on your player board. Others that aren't will be over to the side as unregistered voters. This allows you to bring X amount of unregistered voters onto your player board so that you may later on place them out in the game. Advertise is very simple. What you're going to do is you're going to look at a state like this and you're going to pay $20 million for each icon that you want to advertise in. You will get to put 1 vote in each one of those states matching that icon. So if I wanted to just put one in the houses and on the $sign, I'd pay $40 million, that's 2 symbols, and I could place 1 voter in every place where there's an icon of a house or a $sign. Now the maximum I'd be able to pay is $80, and in that case, I would put 1 voter in each one of the orange states. Looking at campaign, you must be in one of these states to campaign. So for instance, if I am in New York, obviously I can't campaign there. I would have to be in some place like Oklahoma. Okay, now I'm in Oklahoma. What you do is you pay, and it says here on the board too, $60 million. you will take 6 voters from your registered voters and put them anywhere in any of these states you want. So I could put, 4 here, 1 in Oklahoma, and 1 in Arkansas, or maybe 3 in Missouri and 3 in Arkansas. However you want to divide it, you get to decide. The next one is Politic. Politic have little special actions. Some of them are immediate when they have a lightning bolt. If they have the infinity sign, then they're, a permanent ability in the game. And if they have an arrow, and I don't think I have one here, but if they do, it's in response to another player playing a card. So if they do something, you get a benefit, or you get to do something on their turn. Now, once you play a card from your hand, you're then going to take a card from the deck, get back up to 5 cards in your hand, and it'll be the next player's turn. When you're putting voters out on the board, you may, mix them together. Like if I put out another voter, let's say in Colorado, I could switch out those 3 for these 3 ones for that 3-1 there, and then put these in my unregistered. You could do the same if there were 5 votes there, put a 5 there instead. You will also be changing this track depending on who's leading. So let's say that my little hedgehog came over here and took California from the Democrats. What I would do is I would take California from the Democrats, slide their track down, and then I would add it to my player board. And this is showing you basically who's winning in the game. So you'll be moving those slides around, showing which states you control. If you tie in a state, it is still owned by the starting player, this player who started out with it. But once you beat them, then they have to beat you. A tie, you get to keep it after that. Once you run out of the first stack and the second stack, you're going to be having debates in between. So once we run out of this last card, we're ready for a debate. And then you move over to the debate stage. You will do that again once you empty out from the second stack here. And once you empty up from the third stack, the game is over. Now, debates go 3 rounds, and what you're going to be doing is you're going to be playing cards at the top of your deck here. So you may want to save some of these for the debates. And once you play one, let's say I play this one, and it says, hey, I got this emblem, 2 of these emblems, and 1 of that emblem. That means this one will move twice, since I have 2 emblems on it, and these 2, 1. Now, let's say the next player goes, and they play one of these. Now, you have to play one of these icons that match on the player board. For instance, I could not play this card here because none of those emblems are ones that match the player board right there. But if they played something like this, where they could move this little gas can over to them, then they could bring in other topics. They have guns and the medical thing. So I'm going to take the guns and medical one. There's 2 medicals, so to go there, and guns would go there. And now those are in play. If someone else, let's say it was my turn again, and I came back in, and let's say I had a card that had one of these suitcases, and then maybe I had a gun. Well, I would move this gun to the center again. So it's basically a tug-of-war, a four-player tug-of-war, as players are debating topics left and right. Now, once it's done, once 3 rounds are over, you're going to look and see what icons are on what levels, and you're going to get that many votes to put in those states whose icon matches the state. Now, they have a little booklet, a little player aid to kind of help you out. You just look up the emblem, and it'll tell you which states that you get to put voters in. Now, to talk to you about some other expansions that are included in my game here, there's one called Dirty Politics. It's just extra cards that do kind of a twist on each one of these actions. You get to take that action, but you get to do something dirty to another player. So you hurt another player while you're getting an advantage. And you just shuffle those in the deck. Another one are these breaking news cards. This is in the expansion here. And what you'll do is you'll shuffle this, deal out 9. As you see, the campaign trail logo is the same as a regular card there. And you're going to put 3 in each deck and then shuffle each one of these decks. During a round, if someone was to pick a breaking news, they'd place it right here. These can be either good or bad and will impact and change the game as you move through it. Another module to play is this one. I cannot remember what it's called, but what you'll get 3 of these little cards here, 3 of these state cards, and you're going to decide what goals you want to achieve. The goals are written here at the bottom of the card. This is if you're playing in teams of 2. This is if you're playing individual games here, and what the statistics are. How it works is after every debate, you're going to have to ditch one of the 3 sets of cards you have. So for instance, let's say that I had these 3 state cards, and then I had these 3 goal cards, all right? So at the end of the debate, I have to determine which ones I want to get rid of. Well, I don't think I'm going to do this goal, so I'm going to get rid of that one. And, oh, I got to get rid of one of these. You know what? I have a firm lead in Arizona and Arkansas. Maybe that one, so I'll get rid of that too. And at the end of the second debate, I must do it again. Now, whatever I'm left with is going to be what I can get at the end of the game. If I achieve this goal, and I have X amount of points right here, depending on what tier I fall in, that would give me 3, 6, or 9 voters to put out in any of these 3 states shown. It's just a way to get some last-minute hidden votes and maybe swing a few states at the end of the game. The expansion also comes with some region cards. Basically, this is to help people when they're trying to determine a card that deals with a specific region. If you can't see the colors on the board or something, they'll just give you the icons and the shapes of what states are impacted and what their names of each region are. Final thoughts. What do I think about the game? Well, I've been waiting for this game for entirely too long, but it's finally here, so now it's time to talk about it. I love election-style games. When I saw this, it's like, oh, there's a lot to love about here, and there is. There's a lot of great strategy in here. I played very subtle, meaning I was tying in a lot of states. No one really knew I was stealing states because they were just looking at the track, and then finally started making big moves where I started flipping states after states, and big, oh, it was great. It was great. I actually won each game we played. We've only played 2 of these, but I played each game like that, and it was so much fun. There are a few things that I felt were a little underwhelming. One was the debate. Now, every time someone won a debate, states flipped over. Yes, they did. But not maybe the states you were wanting. Sometimes it was states you already had votes in, so you just maybe secured your lead. But I never saw it as a big deal. I don't think any of us did either. I mean, we played the presidential debate, section by playing cards, but sometimes I noticed people wanted to pass because they didn't want to get those 1 or 2 votes. We never got to the 3 or 4 count. But people were like, can I just pass and not play anything? I said, yeah, I guess you can discard something that you can't play. But the reason was they were trying to save some of their cards for the actual main game. So the presidential debates here were kind of a little underwhelming for our group, even though I will admit it did flip states. Also, there's some bad AP on this. If you have players that suffer analysis paralysis, this may not be the game for you because, again, 6 choices available in the game, only 4 on the board, and I'll be honest, even myself who doesn't suffer from AP did have to pause a little bit going, oh man, I really need funds, but I really need registered voters too. This is a good card for both. Which one do I do? Or I really need to travel, but I also need to campaign in that area. Oh man, this has a good travel. So there are some decisions that kind of lock your brain and kind of freeze up, making the game go a little long in the tooth. The last one, and I knew this the moment when I was debating whether I should back this game or not, I made this complaint and someone made a suggestion in the chat, but I hate that track. I hate the game track that tells you who's winning what states. The reason being is because it's so anticlimactic at the end. So anticlimactic. In fact, both games, I had established such a big lead that they were pinning their hopes on winning California, and 3 people were trying to do it, but by then I'd already stolen so many little states from them. Now you could say, oh, well, they need to change their strategy. Well, yeah, but at the same time, it was demoralizing. In one game, someone was like dead last, and they weren't even playing anymore. They were so out of it because they could see there was no point in winning. So, Matt, what's the difference between that and a regular score track that are on regular board games? I don't know, but it only takes 5 extra minutes to just go, don't do the track, and then at the end of the game, start announcing, just go state by state from, east to west coast, I guess, or however you want to do it, and just start placing them down and seeing who's winning. Like a real-time election, you're announcing the winners. Now, of course, by the end of it, people may see who's winning, but that may seem a little bit more climatic because counting the votes in all the election games I have, like the original campaign trail by GDW Games, I love that you're counting the votes at the end. That's so thrilling to me in all of my games. This game doesn't do it. It just kind of ends unceremoniously. Now, what about all the little expansions to it? Dirty Politics are bad. Not bad meaning they're evil to other people, but they're just bad because they're just hard to understand. You have to look at the rule book every time. And honestly, I've already shuffled them in the deck, so I may start picking them out of the game. I really don't like them, not because they're mean and dirty to other players, but just because they add extra layers of actions and they put a twist on the regular actions, and that's just too confusing. The other thing is on the expansion, the little region tokens, I get why they have them. Some people just don't know what region a specific card or event is talking about, so those are nice to have, I guess. They try to do that little secret, here's the secret goal, here's the secret states you can get votes in if you do that. man, a lot of times you just forget about that, and other times, none of those states you care about winning. So I get it. It adds a little bit of excitement and a little bit unknown. Some states are up for grabs. Which ones are they? Well, Arizona, Wisconsin, and Massachusetts. Okay, that could get someone to win, technically, but it could also be the states that you're not even focused in. You could be winning. I remember I was winning most of the states that I had cards in, and I discarded the one card I should have kept from the beginning, but I didn't know. So it wasn't really that helpful. I get what they were doing, but really wasn't that helpful. Breaking news is fine. It's good or bad events. It does change up the gameplay there, so you can play with that. Overall, I do like the game. I think it's great. The biggest problem would be AP and the ending, which is so anticlimactic. Other than that, if you're thinking about getting Campaign Trail, it's up to you whether you want to get it or not. All right, folks, that's it for now. Until next time, you know what to do. Game on!